Hey, everybody. I just wanted to try to make a very quick video on doing database searches and using our library resources and doing some APA format stuff. So I'm going to break that down into several different parts. So hopefully this will be helpful to everybody. Okay, so starting from the JCC website, you can go into My JCC. Just like you normally would. And then when you get to your Brightspace page, you can go right to the library. So you can start right with the Primo Search Everything. And what I would recommend doing is start out with a fairly general search term, and then you can start narrowing down. Now, remember, in my classes, I would prefer in most cases that you use scholarly articles, peer review journal articles. These tend to be the most up date. They are very reliable. They've gone through a screening process where experts in the field edit them. So they tend to have good information. They are complicated to read, but they can be very reliable. So let's say that you are going to be observing a toddler at daycare. So you want to learn something about, say, toddler social development. So just type a general search term in. All right. Now we've got 8,000 results. So you can start out, it may be that the first couple of things that come up are good for you, but here are a couple of the things you can narrow. First of all, I always recommend click the peer review journal only. Click the creation date. You do not want an article from 1952 or something like that, right? Unless you're looking for some kind of historical data. You really, especially in psychology, so much is happening. I would say at most the last 10 years. So I'm just going to put in starting from 2015. Okay. You can also narrow by database if you want, and that can be useful sometimes. The Psychology and Behavioral Sciences database is a really, really good one for us. Psych articles is also a good one. So let's just do those two databases right now and see what we get. So now we've got peer review journals in the last 10 years from these two databases. Still have a lot, 973 articles, but that's narrowed it down a little bit. So yeah, maybe I'm really interested. The sleep one, because I have a kid who hasn't been sleeping and I'm wondering what is that going to do to them. So I can check out that article, see what it looks like. A couple of things to notice here when you've got this list. First of all, you can pin an article if you want to first look through and find a couple of articles that you think might be useful. You can pin them to your account so you can look at them later, or you can email them to yourself. These are really helpful. Let's say that you want to do something more extensive and you need more than one article, and this is a perfect article for you. If you use this little up arrow, you find sources that cited this article, which means you're going to find even more recent articles. So this one's from 2017. So if I hit that up, find sources citing this, then I'll find some more recent articles that used that article. So that might wind up bringing me to something really interesting. So I can try that. And then the opposite thing is find articles that this article cited. That can be useful, especially if you look at this article and you see that there is something that you would like to use. So once you've decided, okay, I want to take a closer look at this article, just click on the title and then it'll show you which of the databases it's in. So I'm going to go to the Psychology and Behavioral Sciences database just because. If it asks you to log in again, just log in with your usual JCC login, the same thing you use to get into Brightspace, My JCC, whatever you have made that, and it should work. And then it's going to bring me to the article. So now, one thing that I've noticed that a lot of people tend to have trouble with, when you're looking at an article, it can be tough to know exactly what are the information you want to use. So the first thing you want to do is definitely read the abstract. Okay, take a look at what this says. This first abstract, this summary of the whole article will give you a good idea if this is the kind of article that you're interested in. So I can see that, okay, cross-sectional and longitudinal relationships among variables related to sleep pattern and socio-emotional problems. So that means that they're going to look at several different ages at one time and follow kids across a time period. So they looked at 6, 12, and 18 months across 5 cohorts of children. So that means that they started with 6-month-olds, say in 2015, and then 6 months later, they got a new group of 6 months old, still 2015. Then 6 months later, a new group of 6 months old in 2016. And at the 6 months later, they then looked at the previous 6 months old, now that they're 12 months old, then looked at the 12 months old when they're 18 months, and so on. So they have different time periods. That's a great design. So I know they've done a good design here. And I can see, okay, later bedtimes and less sleep predicted higher internalizing problems. So less sleep linked to depression, withdrawal, anxiety, separation distress, and inhibition, even in these young kids. So that could be really important. This might be just the kind of thing I'm looking for. Now, when you're trying to decide, okay, what other information do I want from the article? It's entirely possible, especially in this kind of setting where you're in a relatively introductory level class, that the details of this particular study won't be as useful to you as what you find here in the introduction. So the introduction comes right after the abstract. And what the introduction is going to do is go over a bunch of other articles and what research has been done in this field in the past. So I highly recommend reading through the introduction to your articles because this can give you a broader overview of a particular topic, and that may be really, really useful for your papers. So read through the introduction, and any information that seems useful to you, you can pick that out. Now, when you are using information from this article, let's say you want to tell me in your paper about this thing they're talking about, what Jansen et al. Looked at the association between sleep problems at 2 and 24 months and later internalizing problems. If you're telling me about a finding that sleep trouble in the early months was linked to internalizing problems later on, you don't have to quote this Jansen et al. You just quote whatever article you read. So when you're doing your references, you only have to reference this article right here. You don't have to reference all the different articles that they use in their study. So you just reference the article that you read. So in addition to the introduction, the other part of a research article that I recommend you look at, you can, and especially if you're really interested in depth in this, you might want to look at the methods and the results, but that's going to be real detailed. What will probably be more useful to you because the results is giving you details of statistics that you may not be familiar with yet, is scroll down until you get to something that says discussion. And the discussion is going to explain the results more in English instead of using all those statistics. So basically, the parts of the article that are going to be especially useful for you are going to be the abstract, giving you the summary of the whole article, the introduction, and the discussion for information that you may be able to use. All right. So hopefully that is helpful in just a quick overview on finding the articles. I'm going to stop this recording now. And so that we can do a separate one. And I'll do a different recording for going over APA format when you're actually using your article. All right. So I hope this is helpful, everybody. And I will see you in a little bit in another recording.